You?
I'm very good. How you doing? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Amazing, amazing stuff, Elan. Well, welcome to the pod.
Thank
Now
you
we,
very
we
much.
are starting. I'm doing it different now. So I used to do I used to be like, oh, welcome to episode 4, 3, whatever, whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to go a different direction now, and hopefully it works. Hopefully it works. But I never got to congratulate you in person because I remember I think I sent you a message, but you had won best performance for stage debut. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes, that is. Let me just tell you this right now. That is incredible and truly inspiring. Like for people across the country, right, or even across the world who even know about the stage awards or the stage in general, the company itself,
Yeah.
it is an incredibly inspiring thing that you have achieved already at this incredibly young age. Like I look at it and I think, wow, that's something that can really just push you forward. So well done. Well
Thank
done.
you very much, man. Thanks.
And even with and then you hosted it, didn't you? This
Yeah,
year?
so I hosted, so they have two, so the stage hosts two separate awards. So they have the
Yeah.
stage debuts and then they have the stage awards, which kind of celebrates more theatre as an industry as a whole. So it's less like actors and stuff and more like theatre building of the year and producers of the year and things like that.
Got you, got you.
So
Amazing.
yeah.
That is so, so sick. That is just
Yeah,
mad. That's just
it's
mad.
mental.
But how have you been like in general in acting wise? Like, are you doing school or you just doing?
No, so I'll take acting classes and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I did when I first left school. I went to like part-time. I went to Identity School of Drama
yeah.
for a bit, and then now I've actually found that my schedule works better doing like a workshop acting class basis, which is kind of more the American way of like
Got you,
how
got
they
you,
study and do stuff like that. So that's kind of what I've been doing at the minute. Yeah, but I'm not at all in like any full-time school.
got you. How's that? How is that for you? Like, because it's
I really
definitely
like
different.
it. It's very different, but I really like it because it allows you then to have so many different teachers and it
Mm,
allows you to have so many different like viewpoints of this craft that we do because it's such a multifaceted thing.
yeah,
Like it's you I find it restrictive to be taught by the same person for a lengthy amount of time. So I like that I can choose to be taught by different people and like a range of people. Like I've been taught by people who have only been in the industry for a couple of years. I've been taught by people who have been in the industry for like decades, and
got
I
you.
find that really useful. Also, it's on my terms, so I get to choose what I'm studying, like the classes. I get to choose what they're teaching and when, which for me is really
Yeah,
useful.
that's amazing. How does that, in terms of being present in those lessons, then
Mm.
do you ever have lessons about the ability of being present as an actor, but also as a human, like during a scene, for example?
Mm.
Because me myself, I've been trying to figure out a couple things because I'm also the same sort of path as you. I'm not going to school. I'm trying to see how it is without that, doing it by
Yeah.
my own terms, like you've stated. Now, I'm very curious about if you have learned anything about presence. What have you learned, and what do you think is crucial about it?
I think that's a very good question. I think like presence is essential, it's vital,
Mm,
especially because I am a big advocate for the greatest lessons I've learned as a performer and how to utilize my craft to the way that I want to be doing that. Most of that I have learned being in the spaces, in the rooms, in an
yeah,
R&D, working in the theater, working on set somewhere, something like that. I'm a big advocate for like just get it going. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So I think presence is a huge thing. And I think, you know, there's a quote which I will absolutely butcher, so I
Nah,
won't
no,
do it.
you're
I'll
good.
make
You're
it
good.
my own. I'll make it my own, but it's like it's something to do with the fact that like, you know, you you are in these spaces. You are being you're choosing to put yourself in those spaces, but you will get out of those spaces what you put in. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
if you're not present, then this lesson could be like, it won't be that useful for you, maybe, because you need to have that sense of like, right, I want to put the work into this and get this out of it. So in order for that, I need to utilize my stability, my presence, my focus. And I think when it's something that you're really passionate about, or something that you have really strong goals for, it's kind of a natural instinct to have that presence and to have that focus.
Yeah, 100%. Like I've also, not a quote, but there is something similar in that sense that, like, many times when I've been doing a scene, or
Mm,
I'm trying to R&D something, I'll find myself going, "Oh, but I didn't feel present in that moment, or I didn't
mm,
feel connected." When I found this thing online, and I can't remember for the life of me who the practitioner was, but they said, as human beings, you're always present because you're here right now. You can't not be
yeah,
present. And if you're in a scene working towards something, being like, I have to be present, it's not going to help you. It's like a counterintuitive thing. So, like,
100%.
it's such an interesting thing. Like, I've been trying to figure out like loads of different things, but that is one of the big ones for me. Like, I see all the people on, I don't know, on screen. Like, I'll just give an example, like Timothy Chalamet, for example, right? For
Yeah.
me, he's a very impressive actor,
Mm,
mainly because of his presence, and also him being able to be in the moment, which is so crucial.
mm,
Unlike a lot of young actors our age as well, there is that whole thing of, we're not always thinking about being in the moment. We're thinking about, okay, how do I uplift myself? How do I break through
yeah.
the the industry? How can I do all these things? How can I do this? And then we
Mm.
tend to forget all that stuff. You know,
100%. Yeah.
like,
Yeah. So true.
how have you found, like, not the pressure, but how have you found dealing with, like, juggling all those different things? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do. It's a weird one. It's a weird one because there's certain things, like, I've always been a very goal orientated person. Like, even when I was really small, when other people were like, I don't
Yeah,
know what I want to do with my life, and da da da, I was like, I know what I want to do. And I, like, really awfully went to like Paper Chase when I was like 13, 14, and I bought this like pin board that I like made like a vision board, and it like had stupid stuff like marry Tom Holland, but it also
sure.
had like, it was like, I want to start in a play, and I want to do this, and I want to win an award and things like that. And it's weird because people
Wow,
tell you these things are going to happen.
that's
You've got to
sick.
work hard for them. You've got to wait for it. And I feel like I've been very blessed in certain ways of things that I've obviously very much worked hard for, but they've come a lot quicker than I expected them to. So it's a
100%.
hard thing to navigate when you're like, okay, these goals that I've been setting for myself since I was a child are now coming to fruition. And how do you move on from that, I think, is a huge thing as well, of being like, these things that you've wanted to achieve for so long, you've achieved them, what next? That was a huge
Yeah.
like jumping thing of me going like, right, I like, okay, what next? Because it sometimes feels like these things that you work towards for so long, if you somehow then achieve them, it's like, okay, now what do I do? Because you're so lost in
Mm,
this, like, I guess, existence of nothing now in the sphere of, whereas you used to have these
yeah.
set goals. um but I would just say, like, yeah, it's, you have to just relish in things,
Yes.
in the way of like, you don't know, this industry is mental, you don't know what's coming next. You could have these beautiful moments of celebration and joy, and have these moments at work that you like love,
Mm,
and you feel like, this is why I'm here, this is what I want to be doing. And then off the back of that, have no work for 3 months, and
yeah.
you have to just acclimate to that, and uh, use it to spur you somehow. But
Yeah.
it's a very, like, it's hard to do.
But in those moments, you always have to recognize, like, where you're placing your worth. Like, if you do place your worth in those goals and all those things, and you achieve them in like 2 seconds, or not, well, not 2 seconds, but in an amount of
Yeah.
time, and and it comes sooner than you expect, it's going to be a massive, massive blow. Like,
Mm.
what now? What now?
100%, 100%. And some people will view it as like, oh, like that's so good that you could do that at that young age. And of course that's a factor, but it's also like,
Mm.
okay, but am I running too far too quickly? Am I moving too fast? And what is that? And then you have to then gauge. You become, when you supersede people's expectations, you then have to fit into a bubble that is not necessarily curated for you. So there's a lot of internal weight with that, of being like, do I deserve this? Okay, I must do, because I've achieved it, so I must deserve it somewhat. So let me prove to these people that are confused why I'm here, that I'm here and I
Right.
deserve to be, and I've worked for that. Um, but yeah,
I would
it's
say 100%. You do deserve that position and where you're at. If you are having those thoughts, that is the work that you've put in and the goals that you set at such a young age as well is incredibly impressive. Like the visualization or even manifesting it into the actual, like, put it on paper. You put it on paper, you put it up on a wall, there it is. Now I can leave it and just go and do it. Yes, you deserve those things. 100%. That is not a question. But then where you plan or where you next go,
mm,
that's all up to you. Yeah.
100%.
You have all of this like energy to be able to go, right, I want to go do this now, because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure your passion is to act. It's to is
Yeah,
to play
absolutely.
and to create. So you'll be doing things for as long as you want to do it. And I think that's important for everyone. Everyone, like, even whether it's acting or not, where you hit those milestones. I mean, I think I've heard it before, but like in the office, for example, people are like, "Oh, I want the next promotion," and then they get the next promotion and they're not settled, and then
Mm,
they do the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and they become the boss, and they're still not happy.
mm,
A key thing there is like finding where else you find happiness, and where you're putting it in a place that isn't restrictive so
mm-hmm.
much as goals. And it's not to
Yeah,
say goals are rubbish. Goals are crucial to growth. But if you assign like if you assign all of that energy and like your whole worth into that, it won't work out.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely, absolutely. Goals are crucial, but goals are goals. What you
Yeah,
want and your like aspiration is separate. You have to separate that your goals and your aspiration, like the aspiration is the thing that you will always chase, because if you're
yeah,
passionate about something, you love something, that's the thing you will always chase. Your goals are just like, kind of like like trophies you pick up along the way to go, yeah, fair play, I'm doing it, I'm doing what I set out
acknowledgement.
to achieve. And that energy, I think.
Yeah, and that also like goes to almost su you having to surrender to certain things. The
Mm,
importance of surrendering to maybe even your own goals, your own aspirations.
yeah.
Because like, especially with a thing like acting, I've like during this period of my life right now, I'm trying to learn how to also uh stop worrying and thinking constantly like, am I gonna do this? Am I gonna get this? Like, how many times do I have
Mm-hmm.
to be rejected over and over again to be finally put in a spot where I can finally show what I can do. And surrender, just surrender. So
Mm,
it's such a key thing. Like,
yeah.
surrendering all of that pain or judgment towards yourself, the suffering is so key. Like, what do you think
Mm-hmm.
about surrendering? Do you think like, I know I'm going a bit deep, but
No, no,
it
no, no, I love
it
it.
it is something that I really am, like, going through right now, like, trying to battle myself to being like, "I really want to do this thing," but at the same time, if I do that to myself, it's not gonna help me, you know?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's such an interesting, I'm very much in the same space of like,
Yeah,
rejection is hard. I don't
yeah,
think there's ever going to be an age that we're going to be at where that's not hard. I think we'll carve a toolkit for ourselves that will make it easier to deal with, but I don't think it will ever not be hard, because it's just a hard thing. But it's such an it's such an interesting, I guess, like, dynamic between, I'm a big advocate of, like, as well, like, putting yourself in spaces that you're told you're not supposed to be in the sense of, like, don't just show up at people's doors and be like, give me a job. But, like, that's not
Yeah,
what I'm saying. But, like, there's certain things I think, like, you can push people's beliefs and people's ways of thinking out of the conventional route to push yourself and put yourself in places. So I've got a very thing of, like, you have to surrender to this industry. You have to surrender to
yeah,
its formality, in the sense of, you will get rejected. That's going to happen. You can't do anything about it. It's never
yeah.
personal, and it's just a thing that's going to exist. It can't dishearten you. It needs to propel you, and it has to.
Oh, that was good. That was good.
Bars, mate, bars.
Very good.
But, like, it just has to propel you, and it has to. I'm a big advocate of. I need to stop using the word advocate. Apparently, it's
Hey,
the
you're
only word
good.
I
You're
know
good. You're good.
today. But, like, I'm a big, like, a thing that I like to say is, like, if there's not a chair for you at the table,
Mate.
make your own chair. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
vibe. Get dirty with it, graft for it,
Yes.
and make your own chair. There's spaces, like, for instance, you doing this, like,
Yeah.
this is great. You're creating your own space, you're carving this own, you're taking back some autonomy, like,
Yes.
in this industry that is so hard to get, which is amazing. Like,
Yeah. Thank you.
hats off to you,
Thank
because
you. I
it's
appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's
yeah,
yeah. It's a thing I want to keep growing. You know, it's a thing I want to keep doing. But
absolutely.
exactly that. And the other thing with rejection is that when you do surrender it, you also have to remember in life you're always going to get slammed. You know, you're always
Mhm.
going to get pushed down. You're going to get knocked over. But the key thing that I've learned really quickly already, thankfully, is that the quicker you get back up, the quicker you can go to the next thing.
100%.
Like if you do get hit down and you stay down, it doesn't help you. If you get up
100%.
quicker and just go, 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 go. Like I'll give an example. Michael B. Jordan, fantastic actor.
Absolutely.
There's a video of him online talking about how he would deal with his audition process.
Mm.
And one of those things would be that after he finished his audition, he'd scrunch up all the sides and chuck them in the bin as he walked out. Now, that was
Mm.
his way of dealing with, right, I'm doing this character. I'm coming here to do my job, which is act, portray a character, and I'm getting the out, you know? I'm
Yeah.
leaving. And I'm leaving it all behind. And I think that's such an important thing for ourselves to discover. Not it doesn't have to be the exact same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but that similar idea of how can we build this sort of mentality where we can just go in, do an amazing job, the best that we can do,
Yeah.
and just move on with our lives because we have so much more important things going on in our lives than playing someone else.
100%. 100%. I couldn't agree more. And it's also, reward yourself for getting there. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? I always make a big note of, like, whenever I go do an in person, if I do a tape that gets a recall, whatever, I'll make sure, either way, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'll get this job or I won't. But either way, I'll get myself some sort of treat, some sort of reward. It's usually food related.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
like,
I love that. I love that. That's
that's
fun.
usually what it is. It's like a wing stop. But
Nice.
it's just to reward myself for doing that,
Mm.
executing that. And one of the best bit of things that I've ever, I can't remember what actor said this, but I saw it online as well. They were just like, the audition in a way is the job. Give the performance that you would have given in the job.
Is that might be Bryan Cranston? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think so.
maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But that one always gets me, because I'm like, yeah, facts. And also, it's that thing of, like, when you're not in school and you don't have those regular opportunities to
Mm.
perform, self-taping and auditions is the only time that you get to really perform. So utilize that, squeeze the crap out of it, because that's you doing the thing that you want to be doing. And that
Exactly.
kind of
And
takes a bit of the edge off.
yeah, but it's also like if you think about it like this as well, whether or not you do book the job, you're doing it either way. So it's a win-win situation. You're
Yeah.
not gonna like yeah, you get recalled, you get this, you get to the final round, then you don't get it. But if you make yourself realize, I'm doing this anyway, so
Mhm.
it doesn't actually matter whether or not I get rejected again and again and again and again and again and again. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna do it.
100%.
It is hard. Like, don't get me wrong. Everything
Yeah,
that both of us are saying, it sounds a bit easy, but it's not. It's a battle. It is a battle, but it's one that's super rewarding.
it's one that's super rewarding, and if it's what you want to be doing, it's worth it. It's
Exactly.
worth the fight, you know.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day. Like,
Mm,
if you just keep going, it's
yeah.
so important. It's so important. Now, in certain auditions as well, I found that depending on, you get the email, they go, "Oh, okay, so they want you to do this, they want you to do this, that, and the other." And you see the names, you see the company that you might be working for, um, and whatever, and the actors you might be working alongside. Now, I have found that I have always looked at those names. I've then searched them on IMDb, looked at, okay,
Mm,
who this, who's this, who's this, who's this. Think about the company. And when it comes to the audition, I'm not actually fully present when I do the audition, because in my head I'm thinking, oh damn, I really hope I get this. I hope I get to work with these people. I really want to do this. I want to do this.
mhm.
And it made me realize that I was not allowing that childlike self that's still within, well, everyone, I think, to actually play. I
Mm,
discovered that me thinking about, like, oh, I'm going to work with this so and so company sort of clouds my head. So even when I am maybe in there, I'm doing a decent job, you can
yeah.
still sort of see it in my eyes, like, he's not actually thinking about the character, he's thinking about the job, right?
Mm.
Have you ever had an experience, not similar, but have you ever, like, had anything where it is in that sort of regard, where you lose that play and it gets, taken by the need for a job or the want for a job?
All the time. All the time. I feel like I was very lucky last year to have a really busy like first 6 months, and then have a very, very empty last 6 months.
Mm,
And in those last 6 months, after coming off the back of consistently working for 6 months,
yeah.
you're like, give me a job. You're like
Yeah.
very, you're very like
Yeah.
angsty about it. So I was absolutely the same as you. As I would see these companies, I go, oh, I'd really love to work with these people. Like you also kind of like, you go, oh, what would it be like doing this every morning, like going to set and doing this and da 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 da. And so you think about that, and then you realize that, yeah, you're not putting that energy that you should be putting into the
Yeah.
character and the work. You're actually just going, oh, this would be a really nice job, and like, oh, what would
Yeah.
happen after this
That's
job,
not what I
like, do you know what I
do.
mean? And that's not useful, and it's also denying yourself the thing you came to do. The thing you came to do is act. The thing you came to do is
Yeah.
play, create. You're denying yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice, and denying yourself your own craft by focusing on the details of like who's producing this,
Yeah.
who's directing it, who's attached. It's not useful. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
I'm
end of the
I'm
sentence.
so guilty. I'm so guilty of it. Like, I feel like
Me
every time,
too.
and I can't wait, right, for the next one that comes through. I'm actually gonna not even look at. I'm not gonna research the names. I'm just gonna do it, because I
Yeah.
swear, like, I just remember when I was a kid, and I remember, like, doing like a year six play, and I remember I learned all of the lines in like 1 week. I didn't care about
Mm.
anything else. I don't care about nothing. I
Yeah.
learned like a whole 57-page script in like a week, right? Ridiculous.
Mental.
Because that's all I cared about. I didn't care
Yeah.
about the other factors. But obviously, as we get older, we get all these things put onto us, and like all these social constructs, like, ooh, what job did you do? Oh, how much did you get paid? Who did you work for? This, that, and the other. Like,
Mm.
I'm and for everyone else as well, I think it's really crucial if we are able to, as actors, to bring out our childlike selves again and to let them actually be free. I think then you just fly off the roof, Because if all you care about is, oh, I can't wait to play this character, instead of, I can't wait to do this job,
Mm,
there's a completely different story. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, it's hard though. It's hard. Like you.
Oh, it's completely difficult because I'm also such a like researcher. I
Mm,
love detail and I love things like that. And I always say I look into these things because it will serve me for the character. But I
yeah.
know that's not true. I know I'm just nosy and I'm going, okay, like what have they casted before? Oh, they've casted this. I'd love to be in that. And oh, like, do you know what I mean? It's never to
Yep.
do with the character. I just
Yep.
that's how I justify it to myself. But yeah, it's a horrible habit to like get into. But you're right.
Mm,
It's all about, I think a lot of life is about accessing inner child and pleasing inner child. Like that's a lot of, that's a really like, that just reminded me, that's how I kind of, when I first started out, like trying to properly give this a go,
mm,
I was like, I need to find a way of dealing with this rejection and dealing with the like turbulence of this industry, because it was getting to me like heavy. Like I really was struggling with it because I was young, but also like it is just hard.
yeah.
And I remember like I saw this awful TikTok, and I hate that I have to reference it from that, but it was this woman and she was talking just generally in life. She was like, find a picture of you as a kid where you're really happy, look at that picture and go, you're hurting that little kid. When you feel upset about something, when you feel down, when you feel jealous, all of those feelings, that you're giving that to that little girl, that little boy, that little person. And that really hit me for some reason,
Mm,
and I don't know why, but it stuck with me. And it
interesting.
stuck with me especially in this industry. Everything that I do, I make sure that every job I take, every audition I go to, everything I do satisfies my inner child, feeds my inner child,
Yeah.
and protects her. And so that I can go, if she was looking at me right now, if we were two separate people and she was looking at me right now, she'd smile and she'd be proud of me. And that's always my goal
Yeah.
in
That's
everything.
actually really good. That's really good.
It's
That's good
good,
advice.
right?
That is
Like even behind you right now, there's the picture of me as a child, and she's just looking at me now, and I'm like, cute.
yeah. That's actually great to self-serve your younger self. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah. And that also is what unlocks like true empathy as well. Like I've said this many
100%.
times online and stuff, but I say that having empathy, especially as an actor, um, it's so important. Like you can't just get a role and then instantly start judging your character. It's
Mm,
not going to help you. You're not going to be able to like truthfully portray them because you're already being
yeah.
like, this person's this, that, and the other. They're not this, they're not that.
Hmm.
And it's insane, like how much like unleashing that inner self will actually do for you. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's like I see people like Viola Davis, for example. There is no
Mm,
one else in this industry, right? Hands down, no one else in this industry who's as present as she is.
yeah. Big icon. Big
I
icon.
every time I watch her, I'm like,
She's nuts.
what the
Every
actual
performance.
like, what are you doing? Like, but it is just
Yeah.
playfulness. It is just playfulness.
It's
And this,
playfulness, and that comes from inner child as well.
yeah,
Like, and also that naivete and that lack of um self-reflection, like
mm,
that ability to not have self-consciousness. That's what I meant to
that's it.
say.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
to not be self-conscious and just to experiment. I feel like when I see certain actors, sometimes a lot of the time it's a young actor, I see them and they're so conscious of how they're portraying themselves. Even when they're within a character, they
mm,
will cage themselves slightly because they're so self-conscious to look, portray something ugly, portray something that isn't crafted. And I
real,
think a lot
real.
about portraying someone is that we are ugly. Humans are ugly. We have ugly reactions to
Yeah,
things. We have ugly feelings towards things. And I think that ugliness is symbiotic to like an authentic
yeah,
portrayal of a character, of somebody else. And I think
yeah,
that is so, it's so much easier to access when you think about your inner child, because your inner child, when you were 6, you didn't really care what you looked like. You would go and do all these things. You didn't have a sense of like, oh, but I'm going to look this way and whatever. You're a kid, so you have
yeah.
to kind of access that within that as well, I guess.
it's like removing all that self-judgment.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think at times as well, it's just to help with rejection as well. I think to myself, like, I'm being spared because maybe I'm not ready yet. But I mean, you're never ready for anything, but emotionally and mentally, you need, as an actor, you do need to be like, you need to be switched on. Like you can't have the whole like, oh, but I don't. Oh, if I have
There's
to
no
show
space for it. There's no time for
exactly,
it.
exactly. Good. Half the time, your work's in your own space. 10%,
Mm.
you're either on set or on stage, and you know you're on people's money and time, and you ain't got time.
Absolutely.
And you haven't got time to be like, oh, but I think I don't think this will work because I feel it's just not. It's just
There's
not.
no time.
Absolutely no time. But on that note, on no time, we have enough time,
Great.
people. We have enough time to actually go and do the things that we want to do. We don't have to rush. We take our time, and always remember that's extremely, extremely important to not give up. Because
Mm.
no matter how many times you get beat down, I'm telling you right now, you got to do it for yourself, your younger self, thanks to Elan, and do it for your future self. Do everything for the benefit of your future self. Because I'm telling you right now, if you don't give up, you're going to get your dreams. All right. Peace and love, people. Thank you, Elan, so much for being on this podcast. It was an honor.
Thank you very much.
Very, very, very happy that you were able to get on here. But yeah,
Oh, good, man.
peace out.